Look, another glorious morning makes me sick. And welcome to Seismic Cinema. That was a quote from our upcoming review, Hocus Pocus from 1993. I'm James. I've probably written an essay on it. Paul's probably watched it in an order. And Colin,
I've probably not seen it.
how are you, mate?
Aye, I'm fine. How are you?
Yeah, good. Was that a better introduction there?
Yeah, we'll see.
I can't quite give the emphasis on it as much as Winifred does.
I'm being unfair. I'm comparing it to Aileen's version of it.
Ah, right. Okay. Well, it's
She enjoys.
It's certainly not as good as my Patrick Bateman one anyway, but high expectations now. So, so welcome everyone. Thanks for watching and viewing. So, we are Seismic Cinema. So, you can follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, Facebook. So, the main Facebook page and the Facebook community group that we have there, which is at 142 members.
There's also Blue Sky as well, isn't there?
There's Blue Sky. I don't add that in now. So Paul puts onto Blue Sky. I've not quite actually used it yet, Colin. So
either that, to be fair, but it's meant to be becoming quite popular.
Right. So we'll be on Blue Sky as well. So we'll put the links in to Blue Sky in the socials. You can listen to us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Audible, and Amazon Music. We are also part of the Podpack Collective, which is a bunch of like-minded independent podcasters who are trying to better the podcast community, especially in the independent scene. So on your screen, you can see that there's quite a few there. So if any of them tickle your fancy, then you can go into the Twitter page, find the link tree, and give them a wee listen to, follow. Again, as I've said before, they are variety podcasts, so not all necessarily film and TV. There's games, there's stuff at the gym, and all sorts of things like that. So go and check them out and give them a follow.
Fancy taking a humorous trip down a random topic each week? You do? Well, you're in luck. Casting Views, presented by me, Dan, and a host of guests, bring you just that. With topics from the world of entertainment, science, sport, and everyday life, there's bound to be a topic that's going to inform and amuse. Catch Casting Views every Sunday on all listening platforms now.
Okay, so another week, another glorious morning, as I said today, as we record on a Sunday morning. Quite cold in this autumnal morning. So, what have you been watching, Colin, since the last time I spoke to you?
Well, I watched Hocus Pocus last night. I watched a wee bit of the second one as well, but I kind of ran out of time to watch the full thing. I've been watching Boston Legal, which I've been talking about. I watched the first episode of Agatha All Along, the new Marvel show, because I kind of got a wee bit turned off the Marvel shows, but I'd actually heard quite good things about it, and it's a kind of Halloween kind of vibe as well. So I watched the first episode of that, and it was decent enough. I might kind of pursue that show. Just trying to think if there's anything else I've been watching. I watched a movie with Damian Lewis. It was one that was on Sky. It's called The Radleys.
No,
it's like I think it's like a kind of Sky original film. It's about two abstaining vampires, so they've kind of chucked their old life and are trying to live a normal life, and it's all going okay until their kids start kind of tapping into their powers. So I quite enjoyed it actually. It's maybe worth a wee watch. It's on Now TV and Sky as well, so I've been checking that out. That's probably me for the moment. although I'm going to watch some more spooky films or horror films over the next few weeks anyway.
Aye, absolutely. It's the time of year for it. For myself, I've watched the Dexter New Blood. So I obviously watched the seasons 1 to, was it 8, I think it was, of Dexter again. And then I've started to watch, I finished it now, Dexter New Blood. Didn't watch it when it came out. I just thought, you know what, I'm going to just watch the kind of the reprise. And I enjoyed it. It was good. Quite liked it. I would recommend it. You know, I would stay away from anybody, you know, Googling things and all the rest of it, because it will spoil it for you. But I enjoyed it. I think at the time when it came out, I didn't really want to watch it, because I heard kind of bad things about it, and I wanted to kind of keep the original Dexter kind of run in my head, because that was what I enjoyed the most.
Mhm.
But I'm glad I did watch this this Dexter New Blood. So if you have watched Dexter original series and you've not watched New Blood, give it a watch. I quite enjoyed it in most aspects of it. I watched Hocus Pocus, of course, because we're doing the review today. And that's been pretty much it, mate. I've been really, really busy with working things. So, you know, back at work this week, it's been absolutely chaotic. So I've not had much chance to watch anything else. I'm going to start watching Prison Break, though. So that's on Netflix at the minute.
Never seen it now.
I've seen the first 2 seasons of it when, like, back in the day, 2003-4, when it came out, because it came out at the same time as Lost and Dexter. I'm kind of going back to that kind of time frame, and I only remember watching the first 2 seasons. So I think there's 5 in total. So I'm going to give them a go.
I've definitely seen the first 2 seasons. I've possibly seen the third one as well, but it was a while ago.
Aye, no, I mean, but it's finding the time to do that now. Do you know what I mean? Between the podcasting and then just kind of having stuff kind of in the background, but I don't really want to put this in the background. I want to watch it. Do you know what I mean? Give it its service.
I struggle to watch like long form shows during term time. The school holidays are the best for a binge.
Absolutely. And it's not long to the next holiday, so
Yeah.
you can tell Paul.
Always.
Right. What was that?
We always like to remind Paul about the school holidays.
Aye, we do. But he also likes to remind us as well about, you know, how many holidays we have. So it's only fair that we return that favour. Do you know what I mean? So, okay. So today we are reviewing, of course, the 1993 film Hocus Pocus, which isn't probably a film that you thought I would recommend and review, Colin, to be honest with you.
I was quite shocked when that was the one that came out.
Basically, I kind of want to come outside my comfort zone a wee bit. Do you know what I mean? I think it's a way where we review films that I like, but not necessarily what the viewers or listeners like. Do you know what I mean? So it's maybe a wee bit of variety, put me outside my comfort zone a wee bit. Wasn't sure about you in terms of how you seen it before, which I'm going to ask you in a wee second. So this has only been the second time I've seen it. Really, I've seen it first time last year, and I thought I'm going to do something a bit different here, and do Hocus Pocus rather than the traditional slasher horror films and things. So, yeah. Colin, what is your history with this film then?
Well, just before we talk about that, it was just I think that's a big part of what our podcast is putting ourselves out of our comfort zones. Like my tagline being that I've not seen it, it does encourage me when it's my turn to choose ones that I haven't seen. So it is all part of that kind of discovery journey as well. It just on the topic of slashers, if you are a horror fan, we've got a decent back catalogue of horror films we've reviewed, which include a variety. Unless, James, you were mentioning that later.
No. Feel free. I wasn't going to mention it.
So just off the top of my head, we've done Scream, we've done Halloween, we've done Get Out, we've done Us, we've done The Shining, Doctor Sleep, Silence of the Lambs, if you kept that in there. Jaws, not really, but kind of. there's probably other ones as well. Can you think of any more that we've done? Any horror films?
I don't know.
That's maybe it. but yeah,
Done a collab with Texas Chainsaw Massacre, didn't you? With
oh yeah, we did Texas Chainsaw Massacre as well. That's right.
yeah.
And there probably is other ones, but just a wee flavour. Right. Anyway, so when I first see this film, I'd seen it once before last night. I've actually seen it 3 times now because of the clocks going forward, falling backwards.
Back, yeah.
Yeah,
Went back, yeah.
I actually gained an extra hour, so I actually ended up watching like 70% of it this morning as well. The first time I'd seen it was actually not long after Aileen had moved in with me, because it's actually like one of her favourite films of all time. So when you picked it last week, I was like, oh, that's good. That's one that she'll watch with me. So I watched it when I lived in my flat. I think it was the first Halloween after Aileen moved in. And then this was the next watch, really.
All right. So have I picked a Gilly film then?
No, wouldn't say so.
No.
I won't tell you what direction, but my views on this film have changed from first to second watch.
I think I think the first time I watched it, like I said before, it was last year. It was just like I was watching it. This year I was watching it for the purpose of reviewing it, which I probably did pay more attention to be honest with you, because it was kind of it's kind of Halloween-y film. It's kind of meant to be kind of family fun type thing. And I thought, okay, so I watched it. We just watching it, not taking anything, just watching it for as it was. And then obviously today, my thoughts have probably changed a wee bit as well, just with some of the content and things. We can maybe discuss that as we go through the review, mate. Okay, so I'm going to give a short synopsis of the film then. So, a teenage boy named Max and his little sister move to Salem, where he struggles to fit in before a awakening trio of diabolical witches that were executed in the 17th century. The film was released on the 29th of October 1993. It was directed by Kenny Ortega, written by David Kushner, Mick Garris and Neil Cuthbert. The runtime for the film is 1 hour 36 minutes. So it's quite a short film in comparison to the films we have watched previously. The cast was Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, Omri Katz, Thora Birch, Vanessa Shaw, Doug Jones, and that's only a few of them. Of course, the film does have kind of like 5 or 6 main characters anyway, but I just thought I'd kind of write them down. The budget for the film was 28 million, and it took in 51 million, so it probably wasn't as successful as people think it is. I think it has got mixed reviews, this film.
It's a bit of a cult classic, though, is it not, with its fans?
Aye, I think people of a certain generation do like this film because obviously it's 1993. It was released. People, as it came out in VHS and stuff like that, and just kind of, watched it. Kind of similar to the way I've kind of watched Big Trouble in Little China. Do you know what I mean? It's like you kind of grew up with these films. And then it becomes a classic for you, and then like you were saying, it's people's favourite films. It must have some.
Not at the moment because it's Halloween season, but there's a film like that I really want to do at one point. I don't know if you watched it when you were a kid. Honey, I Shrunk the Kids.
Yeah, I've seen that.
It's on Disney Plus. I'd be quite keen to do that at some point. Okay. I think that'd be good fun. That's for the future.
Yeah, we can do that, man. You can let us know when we're doing that, right? So that was the kind of the synopsis and the monies involved and such things. So let's get right into it then, mate. I would go into the Twitter comments and things, mate, but we didn't get any. Didn't get any. So
we put a spell on people next time.
So if you're listening to this, then you follow us on Twitter and Facebook. Shame on you.
Get your
I
finger
wanted
out.
some content for this pod and you didn't give me any. Or maybe it's the other way. Maybe they just had too much to write and just couldn't be bothered writing it. I don't know.
We'll just need to give our views instead.
Yeah. And if you think our views are incorrect or you don't agree with them, or you do agree with them, then please let us know, because feedback in any way, shape or form is good.
It helps us to feed forward, and we do truly appreciate all the comments in previous weeks. So we'll let you off for this week.
Aye. Obviously what I'm saying is in jest. But what I'll say is, don't let me go full Patrick Bateman on you. Okay. Where was I? Right, okay. So, as I like to do, mate, I kind of like to go through kind of a few scenes and then kind of get your opinions on it and things like that. Okay, so the film starts off. It's like a kind of flashback to Salem. It's 1693, something like that, 1690, 1693. So basically, it's, we've got the three witches who are named Winifred, Sarah, and what's the one called? Mary. Couldn't remember her name now. And they've got a young girl, Emily, in their wee kind of coven, their wee cabin, and they want to they use the children in a way to, make themselves younger. So they kind of suck their soul from them, if you want to call it that. So they drain Emily's life, basically to restore their own youth. So in this scene, we get Thackeray Binks, who is Emily's older brother, which is your screen name.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. So I'm taking it you do like him, or the cat.
I'm also wearing my best cat dad t-shirt for this pod.
That's a big
because there's a cat in it.
That's a bold statement. You're the best cat dad. I'm sure there'll be other cat dads there willing to fight in
that. My cat's bought me this, so.
Right. Right. Okay. Back to the pod. So Emily's life's drained. The sisters become youth though, and there is the hunt to the witches. So they turn Thackeray Binks into a cat, so they make him immortal. I mean, I think I want to be immortal, but I don't think I want to be turned into a cat at the end of the day. But that's what happened to him.
I wouldn't mind it.
You wouldn't mind it? Aye, okay. Should have other animals you would maybe prefer than cats, mate.
Definitely
anyway, we're off on tangents here on the first. It's not a good look right away. So the town come to the cabin. They grab the witches basically and they hang them. But Winifred casts a spell to make sure that if a virgin lights a black flame candle, they can come back into the world. So, question I got for you: how did you think about this scene? Did you think it was a good kind of start to the film? For a kind of dark tone. And what did you think of the Sanderson sisters as villains? Kind of straight off the bat.
There's quite a few points in there. I like the opening shot where you see the kind of witches kind of flying in the sky. I thought that was quite good. And then a Thackeray, which is a really difficult name to say repeatedly. I like when he sees the kind of purple spell or witches, whatever, up in the sky. And there's obviously stakes at this point because his little sister's in danger and he's wanting to go save her. And obviously, I think this is why my opinions changed. I think when you kind of know the vibe that this film's going for, you can kind of take it for what it is. But obviously, they are pretty kind of slapstick villains on the surface, and that they're just kind of over the top and like classically evil. But when you actually kind of break down what they're actually doing, like it is quite sinister in the sense that they're kidnapping these children, that they're they're draining the life from them, and they've obviously, as we've discussed in a previous episode, they've obviously got a fear of death or a fear of becoming old, because their main goal is to look young and beautiful. So there's quite a lot in that when you actually break it down to the kind of deeper level, just in terms of modern society, where people are wanting to stay young and plastic surgery to kind of stay young and all these kind of things. So I think it was quite a good start. And if you take the villains for what they are and appreciate the tone that the film's going for, then I think you can get on board with it.
Aye, quite similar to myself, mate. Do you know what I mean? They want to become immortal and forever young. I've got the song playing in my head now. Forever young. No, only thing is they want to
Keep it in your head.
Aye, it's best in my head, I know. Aye, you're saying they want to kind of remain youthful and beautiful and things like that. Like, aye, in their own heads for sure. That's what they try to do. I think. I mean, this is kind of aimed at families, family film, right? And I'm not sure about the beginning of this film because it is quite dark and sinister. Do you know what I mean? It's someone dies. Do you know what I mean? It's like, hold on a minute here, and they are quite scary. They're older and things, and they appear that way. But obviously, throughout the film, they become more kind of that kind of slapstick. You do see a wee bit of that, and they make it their role, because I don't think the writing was terribly great in it for them. But how they actually delivered the lines later on in the film kind of made them. Do you know what I mean? So I thought the start of the film anyway was quite sinister. Just in regarding the Emily character, because they succeeded.
I've noticed a bit of a theme. It happened in the Simpsons movie. This isn't just a relay of things we've reviewed, although you can check them out on YouTube, Spotify, etc. Simpsons movie, Toy Story, and this, the kids movie, but all three witches get hanged. That's quite a dark moment. When you just see them, you just see their legs dangling there.
Absolutely. Don't show it, which is obviously important as well, because then it would be even more sinister. But you see the kind of the stool or something being kicked away, and then you know what's happened there. But people might not know, because I don't know, like younger people might know what's the witches have died. But geez, oh man, it's pretty sinister.
It is a generational thing, because I don't think you would see characters dying like that in kids' movies nowadays, would you?
Nah, I think it is, like you say, films were made differently back then with different mindsets. I think now in this kind of woke society that we live in, people are easily offended and things like that, and that's just the nature of the beast, I'm afraid. Do you know what I mean? People are in this kind of world where they are easily offended, and if the one slight thing offends someone, then it'll be cut, or it'll be kind of, it'll be redone, reshot, and whatever. So,
but if you also think about the kind of increase in people taking their own lives, maybe that's a reason why things like that aren't as prevalent in movies.
Well, absolutely, that's a good point, mate, because that's a trigger point as well for people. Do you know what I mean? And it is a shame that. Do you know what I mean? So they've got to be they have to be careful in that regard of what they deem to be kind of appropriate for a film. But it's like, listen, I don't envy the writers and directors for films these days at all, because there's so much in society to think about, and again, who your target audience is going to be and all the rest of it. So,
but there's also opportunity there for, like, if you look at Deadpool and Wolverine, they just don't care about any of that and they just go for it. So there is opportunity there for those who don't really care about being cancelled as such.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's that risk and reward, isn't it?
But there is a lot of, as you said, you hinted at the start, there's a lot of, I think we're probably thinking similar things here. There's a lot of kind of undertones to a lot of the character behavior in this that arc stand out quite a lot in 2024.
No, you're right. When we want to characters and things, I just kind of want to I think that obviously from the very first scene of 1693 to kind of modern day Salem, because what it kind of moved on. So that it was basically that story being told in a classroom, and we kind of meet the main character Max, who is a boy who's came from California, Los Angeles,
Hollywood.
He's moved to Salem, and him and his sister with his family. So in the classroom setting, they're talking about the teacher's going over the Sanderson sisters and how spooky it is. It's this time of year, it's Halloween, it's not a real thing. But he's very skeptical. He's like, Halloween is just a money making scheme, from the candy companies and the rest of it to make money. So he's very skeptical. He's very kind of conspiracy kind of theories are kind of flying about there. And I like this scene because it showed how skeptical he was. That he was kind of one against the whole town, and then in the classroom anyway. But even his wee sister believes it, and all the rest of it. So he's no buying into any of these ghost stories or witches and wizards and all that sort of thing. So he's dead set against it. This scene as well, it was quite funny. It's quite a good retort because Alison, who's his kind of love interest, if you want to call it that, in the film, was kind of arguing against him. He gave the number over, so he wrote his number down, and he said to her, which I quite liked. It's quite quirky, and if Jimi Hendrix comes back tonight, there's my phone number, and in a way that there's my phone number. I'm into you, but at the same time linking it in to the Halloween theme.
Yeah.
So I like that. I don't know, like that scene was good. So what did you think of that scene, mate? And what do you think of actually Max being introduced as the main character?
So there's a few thoughts in this scene. First of all, this is yet another movie where there's a teacher classroom scene, which kind of follows on from Disturbia, Dead Poet Society, etc.
And you're not plugging the previous shows, mate. That's the third time.
No, I'm not. No, hands on heart. I'm just. It's just funny how this keeps happening. It's quite interesting, the teacher, because she basically just like, I know, like it can be good practice when building relationships with pupils to have a little bit of light-hearted camaraderie, but she's like pure tearing into him, calling him like all sorts of names and like tie-dye and all this kind of stuff. And she's like playing a prank on one of the girls in the class as well, like frightening her and things like that. So that teacher was quite the character. I think what I view the main boy, who I've just forgot his name,
Max,
yes, you just said it a minute ago. He basically kind of follows the kind of archetype of the hero's journey, doesn't he?
Oh, aye.
He's not a believer. He's reluctant, but then obviously by the end of the film, he is spoilers. He is a believer. So it was quite interesting to watch that. He's also got, for the kind of new boy on the block, he's obviously got a lot of confidence, kind of going after the kind of most popular girl in the kind of school by the looks of it. What I thought was quite funny is see the boy that came up behind him and said like "fat chance" sort of thing.
Aye.
I think he looked like 40. Was this like the kind of old trope of like 90s movies where all the high schoolers were in their like 30s and 40s?
Mate, it must be, because that all the time. Do you know what I mean? Even
He looked really old. The guy behind him, and Halloween as well. A lot of the main characters look a lot older than what you would class a high schooler to be.
Aye.
But I think it goes, and he's very confident, but I don't think he comes across as particularly likable at the start of the film. Like he's quite kind of cocky when he's talking to Alison, and then he's not particularly nice to his little sister in the kind of first half of the film. So he doesn't really come across as that likable. Obviously, he's going through like a big life move, but he's obviously that kind of classic. He has a big kind of character arc throughout the film.
I know, I agree with you. You can see why he can come across quite cocky, and I mean, you think a new person in a class would, just pipe down and just kind of feel his, the surroundings and, speak when spoken to type thing, and just kind of keep opinions to him. But he's quite forward in that regard, going after the kind of the most popular girl in school. Did you notice the continuity error, by the way, in that scene? Well,
No.
scene there and thereafter, but just when he catches up with her
What
on
was
the
it?
bike. So he hands her the phone number,
Uh-huh.
and then he catches up with her later on after when the bell rings and they're in the park or something. I think it's like a swing park, and she says something to him and gives him his number back. But when he opens it up, the handwriting's changed. It's a different colour of pen. So the
Oh.
pen that he writes is blue, I'm sure, but the note that she gives him back is black, but the writing's bigger.
No, I didn't notice that.
It's kind of weird things I see, mate. Because initially I thought it was her number, but then it said his name, and then I went back and looked, and it was the same number, same name, but just bigger writing and different colour of pen.
Very nice.
Yeah.
I mean, this happened during the what do you call it? American Psycho review as well. See, because I'm doing these pods in the dining room, so whenever the sun hits, it looks like the moon's shining on me. It's just
Two-Face.
like, isn't it? Very
It
good.
does. Lupin's out tonight.
Woo!
Right, okay.
Obviously, you see the cocky side of him, but he does get knocked down a peg.
Well, he does. That's what I was going to come on to.
Afterwards, yeah.
That's what I was going to come on to. So he gets taken down a peg or two because he meets Jay and Ice, who are the
Ice was a runner up for my screen name.
So you meet these two clowns. You know who these two clowns remind me of? Do you watch the Power Rangers when you're younger on telly?
Yeah, of course, yeah. We talked about this the other week. Remember, we're going to do the movie.
Oh, I so we did. But they remind me of a Bulk and Skull from Power Rangers. So these two are the kind of village idiots, we call them that, who just kind of terrorise people. But they managed to catch Max on his bike, and they kind of get a feel from who he is, where he came from, and then they end up stealing his trainers because they're they're nice cross trainers. You can see the focus on them. They're brand new, they're shiny, and they quite like the look of that. So he does get knocked down a peg or two. I mean, he was cocky, but now he's kind of met his match. He's like, oh, I'm being bullied, and then you can see he's angry at his parents as well because he didn't want to move there in the first place, and he's coming back into his house when his shoes on. So I enjoyed that scene. What did you think of the two of them?
His mum. Well, we'll go back to the boys the same, but the mum and dad.
I know what you're going to say.
What?
His mum, because I was like, I know that person. Where is she from?
No, I wasn't going to say that.
No, you're
Where
not.
is she from?
She's Rhonda in How I Met Your Mother.
Oh, okay, the one that Barney, the older woman.
Yes.
Is she? Okay, I don't know that. I'll need to look into that one. No, I was going to say the parents don't seem. They seem quite like kind of party animal parents that they're all about having a good time and they're not really that fussed about what their kids are doing. That's the kind of vibe I got anyway.
No, I think so. I think that showed through the film.
Which I thought was, we'll get to that later. But the two boys, it's just like, I don't know if they're meant to be popular or if they're just meant to be bullies, but it's just like they're not, like they're the kind of polar opposite of being cool, aren't they? With his ice shaved in the back of his head and all sorts of stuff. But they are just that kind of classic kind of 90s bully, aren't they? But obviously they have an arc as well, I suppose. Not an arc, but they get their comeuppance towards the end of the film.
They do.
That's a great word, isn't it? Comeuppance.
Yes, I was going to say that, but you got in before me. No, it was good. It's you know, where are you from? Los Angeles, and they'll both look at each other like, "Where's that?" And he's like, "LA." He goes, "Oh, LA."
Hollywood.
Hollywood. See, I'm going to ask you a question. See, when you were younger, right? Did you ever get your trainer stolen?
No.
No. There was where I'm from, right? Down my bit, there was in the 90s. I don't know if it's taken for this film. I don't know. It maybe just kind of happened. But there was phases of people stealing people's trainers and stuff like that.
Did you get your trainer stolen?
No, I did not. I did not. I didn't have cool enough trainers, to be honest with you. But it did happen, and then you either stole them. This is swear to God, this happened. Stole them, or you would have your trainers tied together and thrown up onto
Like a telephone pole.
telephone lines.
I've seen that in movies and stuff. Yeah.
You know what happened. So you walk along Shelton Road, and you would see like just trainers hanging for the laces. So it happened that.
It's obviously a place for humor, but it's also horrible because obviously things like this do happen to people in real life. So it's not. Nah, say no to bullying.
Yeah, bullying is wrong.
As indeed.
Okay. Right. So let's get to the bit where they release the witches. So before that, they kind of go trick or treating with Danny. He doesn't want to go. Max doesn't want to go with Danny because he's too old and all the rest of it. But he's to take his younger sister trick or treating. They bump into Jay and Ice again, where they steal the candy. It's quite funny because that bit where he's like, "You've got to pay the toll," and Danny's like, "No, like, I've got an older brother. He'll sort you out." And they turn around and it's him, and they go, "Oh, Hollywood!" And he's like, "Oh no!" So reluctantly, obviously, they pay the toll. He give the candy away. He doesn't want any bother. Do you know what I mean? Doesn't want to be embarrassed in front of his sister and all the rest of it. They bump into Alison again. It's her house, isn't it?
Yeah, because they joked about. They were joking about on the lead up, wasn't it? A bit like you'd be offered cider and to dunk for apples, and then as soon as they get in the door, she offers them some cider.
Aye.
An 8-year-old cider.
Well, there's may have been 0% stuff, mate.
Hopefully, it was just apple juice.
Well, even then, I don't think Max was the legal age either, so there's something wrong there as well. So they go to Alison's house. It's obviously quite fancy, all the rest of it. But they eventually go to the cabin. Max.
Can I just say that also shows that Alison's parents are more interested in their social scene than their kids as well. So it's just like a constant throughout the film.
All right, it's all about but it's Halloween, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
So Halloween is obviously big, in more places in other places. Do you know what I mean? So in Salem, it's obviously got a history there of Halloween being big, and so that might be like their New Year's.
I know, but you don't just go out drinking and leave an 8-year-old with the brother. Do you know what I mean? You need to be more responsible than that.
Do you? But I'm joking. Obviously, I'm joking. I'm kidding. That was tongue in cheek. Okay. So obviously you think that it would be more responsible, but they're more kind of they're more obviously connected to their social side and kind of gathering with friends and to lead them trick or treating and they'll be fine. They'll come home later on. Do you know what I mean? Don't worry about them. But you go to
I suppose people were a bit more naive back then, and there wasn't maybe as many true crime documentaries and whatnot. People were probably a lot more trusting of the world back then.
Well, I think that's true. I mean, there is a lot of faith in humanity, and there was then, and there is now. But it's a pod for another day, though. So eventually we'll get to the Sanderson house. We're there. Max lights the black flame candle. It brings the Sanderson sisters back to life, and then they are now kind of free to kind of cause havoc, much to everyone's dismay, because oh, don't do it. And when he did it, he said the thing. He said it. It's just a bunch of hocus pocus, and he lit the flame.
That's the name of the movie.
That's the name of the movie. He said it. So
do you not just love when people say the name of the movie in the movie?
I do. I like it. I do like it, especially like that as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Did you also know that he's a virgin?
Well, that's what I was going to come on to say, mate. That's what I was going to come on to say. So throughout this film, I found this bit a bit odd. I'm not going to lie, because it's a family film, but they emphasise this point umpteen times. Not only does it's to be lit by a virgin, but his sister constantly tells people that he's a virgin. And I'm like,
makes you wonder if she actually knows what it means.
Well, exactly what I was going to say. That's going to raise more questions and answers, that, isn't it? So how many times do you think in households across the land that you watch this with your son or daughter has the question, "Mommy, what's a virgin?"
I've got an answer to that, James. Yeah, I said do you know how I watched some of Hocus Pocus too? There was a guy, he was like a curator in a museum, and he was obsessed with the kind of Sanderson sisters. And he got asked by a wee boy in the crowd when he was doing a presentation of what a virgin was, and he just went, "Someone that's not lit a candle before," which I thought was very good.
Aye, so I just think that was, I don't know, I found it odd. I mean, I'm okay with it initially, but it's it's a recurring thing through the film. It's just his sister tells the police and all that he's a virgin and all the rest of it. I don't know if they need for that.
It's also the fact that they're making it out like it's this terrible thing, which also links into peer pressure with people losing their virginity just so that they fit in, instead of because it's something that instead of being in a really serious relationship or whatever.
Aye. I mean, just think in school as well. Do you know what I mean? You would.
Sienna's going to wave, right? And you go,
hello.
Right, and you're gonna. Thank you. Right, just continue.
Hello. It wasn't. So it was just to get your thoughts, mate, on the trick or treating. No trick or treating. It's just lighting the black flames candle. It was, your idea. What's in that?
It's the. I think it is good. I like the way they did it when you've got the witches at the start of the film, and then they go away for probably half an hour, and then the kind of start of the film links into the middle, and they come back, and it also shows that maybe the experience of going to the house, because the house and the surrounding areas it is actually quite spooky. It's not a scary film, but I think there are moments there are good horror elements to the film. And there's one particular jump scare later which actually got me that we can talk about later. So I think it does show that Max is starting to become a bit of a believer, and he's starting to see that this is more legit. And I think actually being in the house and seeing all the kind of the book, and the book's a great character as well, by the way. That was another forerunner for my screen name.
I was going to say about the book actually, because you see it here, but did you have any links to any previous films you thought it looked like? Because that right away I thought about it, and I thought as well.
Now that you mention it, it kind of rung a bell in a sense. I'm struggling to place. Give me a clue.
It's one of your favourite franchises, mate.
One of my favourites.
It's not Star Wars.
Harry Potter?
No. It kind of reminded me of the Harry Potter.
Oh, the Monster Book of Monsters.
Aye. Just the front cover of it.
Yeah. Nah, a wee bit, yeah. I suppose that you've got the kind of eye, which could link to Lord of the Rings as well.
Aye. Okay, so after that then, the Sanderson sisters kind of chase Max, Alison, Danny and Binks. Also at that point I meant to say as well that Binks is kind of he's talking now, and that's kind of where he kind of will He believes, I've got a talking cat here. Do you know what I mean? And by the way, my screen name before I forget, and I know you've got questions on it. Glitch is just a play on The Matrix and Hocus Pocus, because a glitch in The Matrix in the film was to see deja vu, and he's seen the black cat twice. And Thackeray Binks is a black cat. That's all it was.
Fair enough. The concept, I often wonder how like young people nowadays would view like the talking cat, because obviously it looks quite kind of stands out quite a lot, like the way they do it. But for me and my big sister were big fans of Sabrina the Teenage Witch's Kids, so it just gave me total Salem vibes.
No, totally. I said that as well, like totally, because the cat's called Salem, isn't it? Aye.
No. The cat's called Salem and Sabrina, yeah.
Aye. So it's like, so I think that's why I get the name mixed up initially. I couldn't remember the cat's name until I watched it again.
Do you know what's so bizarre, just on a slight tangent, is see the day before I watched this for the review, somebody I know was offering a black kitten to us. We're not taking it, by the way, but Aileen was going on about wanting to call it Thackeray. Aileen was in a group chat wanting to take it and call it Thackeray Binks. And because I'd only watched Hocus Pocus once, and it was a couple of years ago, I didn't really recall the name, but it's funny that came up literally the day before we were doing the review.
Aye. That would be quite funny though, to have that.
I could have had Thackeray with me for the review. Instead I've just got the other two moggies.
So, what was I? So they basically they go to the graveyard, the cemetery, and because it's kind of sacred ground into the cemetery.
Yeah, the witches aren't allowed in it, basically. Well, it said that at first, but then they were in it, but they couldn't, like, I don't think they could do their magic or anything.
They couldn't cast spells. So basically, Binks tells them that it's sacred, hollow ground. That's what it is, hollow ground. And we get introduced rather to the zombie Billy Butcherson, who I liked him. He was going to be my screen name, but I chose something different, obviously, as I said. So he chases them through the graveyard. So Billy Butcherson is the ex-lover of Winifred.
Yeah.
But
he also spent some time with the other sister as well.
Sarah, aye, he did. So I think, the introduction of Billy, was quite creepy. I think the costume design there was brilliant as well, by the way. I thought it was brilliant. With that whole kind of, he chases them and, he's quite clumsy at the same time, but he's got so much energy. He's got a purpose.
He doesn't. I don't think he speaks, does he? He's all just about the kind of physical humor.
It's all it is, just physical humor.
Which I think it's a big plus point for this film is the kind of physical comedy.
Aye, no, especially with the witches as well, when their walk as well. Do you know what I mean? It's how they actually portray the actual character, which is really good. So Billy's quite dramatic entrance. He's got the stitched lips. He's got the creepy, the comedy kind of balance between horror and humour, I think. So how effective do you find Billy Butcherson as a side character? Did you see him? Because I thought near the end of the film he was becoming more of an ally or a villain. How did you find it?
I didn't really view him as a villain. Obviously, he didn't treat Winifred well in the past by like cheating on her with her sister, but I don't think that's probably enough to like cast a spell on him, like sew his mouth shut and all that kind of stuff. Sorry, my cat just bit my finger, but I was annoying it. That's why the camera moved there. Yeah, I didn't really view him as a villain. I view him more as like a kind of victim in a sense of their previous spells, and he obviously had no great love for Winifred after what she did to him. So I think he was naturally going to help out the protagonists.
Aye. No, I know what you mean. I mean, I just found is the kind of, I think the funny people in the film. I think all the witches were all quite funny at certain points. I think Sarah was the more comedy aspect of it, and
I thought Winifred was the funniest personally.
was you?
Yeah.
No, I thought Sarah was. Just think she says like she would they listen to her and anything? Do you know what I mean? She'll kind of ask questions after Winifred telling her. And her wee song as well when she's like whenever she says something. I think she was the better character personally. But aye.
All about opinions.
Oh, exactly. I think it's time now I think probably the most, I don't know if it is, people might have different opinions of this, but I think it's probably the most memorable scene of the film. Where the kids go to the Halloween party in the city chambers.
I would agree with that.
Aye, they're warning. They're trying to warn everybody, in a Halloween party that the sisters are here and all the rest of it, here to put to steal the children and all the rest of it. And you get Max, who's obviously got enough bloody. He knows he's got enough confidence now to stand up on stage and tell people about these sisters are back. He believes it now. There's no denying that. He takes the microphone off a singer. Looks like one of the, I don't know, what was it? The Misfits. The band Misfits. Anyway, that's what he was meant to be, but kind of skeleton costume on. He's trying to warn the people that they're here. They all laugh at him. He points them out in the crowd, but the crowd just think that they're really good at dressing up, and so much so that they come up on the stage and they sing the song, "I Put a Spell on You." So obviously, at this point in time, I was like, oh no, it's turned into a musical. I didn't like it. I don't like musicals, mate. Right? I just don't like them. But I know it wasn't really a musical. But I was worried it would become that way. So see this scene here. I think it's the most memorable scene. I like it. Actually, I do like it. What do you think about this musical? Well, this piece of music being put into this scene, and do you think it kind of made the sisters more likeable, but you kind of grew attached to the sisters a wee bit? Because I think before that point, they were quite. Don't think they were as memorable as such. Like now, this is the time now that they've put a spell on everybody, and they've got their purpose. So how did you feel about that scene?
Quite a few parts. I would disagree that they weren't memorable up to this point. I would say that in their first scene, and then when they come back in the kind of haunted house, I'd say that they were. I feel like they were memorable throughout the film. So I would disagree.
I use the wrong choice of words there, mate. I do. I don't mean memorable. I just thought it maybe added a wee bit more to what they're doing now. I would take that back. So memorable is probably the wrong word I used there.
I must admit, I really like this scene, and I really like the song. Actually, I quite like musicals, depending on what one it is. To be fair, I am glad this film didn't become a musical, but I think that song was really good because I think it showed a lot of things. Like what we like to do here at Seismic Cinema is obviously dig deeper, but the song and the fact they were kind of brainwashing the parents or anyone who was listening, it also goes a lot to show how parents don't always listen to their children and how they don't always believe them and they think they're just kind of making things up until proved otherwise. And this is something that happens in quite a lot of movies, but I think here, because at the start of that scene that they're trying to tell their parents like this is what's happening, and their parents are just, again, they're just focused on having their night out. They're not wanting to believe it. And again, that is something, as I said, that comes up in quite a few movies. The sisters swung it in a good way, and that they took his like warning about them and they turned it into like a introduction to them as like a musical act. And the guy on the stage even said, "Oh, like he kind of was annoyed at first, and then he changed his mind, and he was like congratulating him on like setting this up."
Aye.
And I think it's for those who really love the film, it's probably one of the most iconic moments with the song. And obviously it was shown at the start, because see, at the start of the film there was people who all believed in witches because they had the evidence in front of them. They were all kind of covering their ears when they were doing their spells or when they're doing their songs, so it was kind of foreshadowed earlier in the film as well.
That's right, it was indeed. I actually agree. This scene was iconic. It was good. Do you know what I mean? It's shows that, you know, all knowing adults are, you know, don't always know the best. Do you know what I mean? And they don't listen when they need to listen. So the roles had been reversed at that point in time. Aye. What did you make of the mum's outfit?
She was Madonna.
Aye, Mum Donna.
I was crying for life. I think this scene was preceded by the bus scene, wasn't it?
Aye.
Yeah, because
aye, it was
that?
aye. Bus driver. Aye.
The goodbye, mortal bus driver. So yeah, is this a good time to discuss the kind of some of the undertones of the film? There's a couple of bits. See the way that the sisters are. They're obviously wanting to get the kind of life force out of the children so that they can become young and live forever and all that kind of stuff. But it could come across in another way, because there's a scene where they kind of unmask the boy when they're trick-or-treating, and she's like, "Oh," it's like, "Oh, a child," but it's the way they say it that it makes the kid probably feel like they're about to get like kidnapped, and it comes across as quite creepy the way they talk to the children, because they're obviously adults who the kids think are just adults dressed up, but the way they talk to children, and the way in particular Sarah talks to like the boys in the film, the high school boys, but also like the bus driver, and even at the disco she's talking to somebody. So she's obviously the one that Billy cheated on Winifred with as well. So she's like throughout the film, and like the devil guy in the house, like just throughout the film she's just constantly chasing after people. And yeah, I just wondered what you thought about like the way they were speaking to like the children, or the way they were speaking to like the younger boys, and some of those kind of undertones of the film.
Aye, I mean, there is that. I mean, you wouldn't get away with that, really. But you have to remember as well, though. I'm just kind of just speaking about the film, that it was then 1993, and that was even probably thought about. Do you know what I mean? But you have to remember as well, the film, you know, the characters in the film have lived for a long time, so I don't think they really care about what's right and what's wrong. Do you know what I mean? So Sarah, who is Sarah Jessica Parker, so she obviously has a thing about boys. She's talked about boys all through the film and all the rest of it. I don't know if she sees it any different, because she's always been the same age type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, so I'm just gonna try to think it that way, where she's always been the same age. So whether she appears to be older, really in her head, and how she portrays as herself, she is younger. So they are the kind of same age and whatever. I don't know. I mean,
can you see what I mean though, and how
I
it
do.
came across?
No, I do. I do. Do you know what I
weird.
mean? I do. It can be quite creepy. Do you know what I mean? And how you speak to younger people. Do you know what I mean? You have to be mindful of that. I just don't think it was. I don't know if. I mean, that's maybe just in a critical way for a podcast that you think it that way, but I think it wasn't maybe meant to be put across as that, or put forward as that. You know what I mean? So I don't know. But I do understand where you're coming from, though, because I mean, there's been other films we've had to do before where I thought, well, I mean, like this Disturbia, for example, the ethical nature of that, you wouldn't even get away with, looking through people's bedrooms with
We had a big
binoculars,
discussion on that, yeah.
you know.
But it was, as you say, it was over 20 years ago, this film, so I doubt the filmmakers intended it like that, but that's just how it kind of comes across nowadays, I would say.
Oh, I know. There is a false dawn, actually, in the film where they think Max, Allison, Danny, and Binks, think that they've burned the witches. They lock them in. It's the what do we call that?
An incinerator.
Incinerator type thing, aye.
Imagine having one of, you know how easily they got into that? Imagine having one of them in a school.
I know.
How dangerous is that?
So they lock them in that, they trick them into it, and the false dawn is that they're dancing in the street, they've defeated the witches, yay, all the rest of it. But you just know, of course, I mean, just the way the film is, and films like this go.
When there's half an hour left, it's not done.
Well, I know, but they're going to come back. No, I'm not going to insult your intelligence, mate. Did you think it was done at a point? But
not when I checked the time left in the movie and knew that was left. Just before we move on from this scene, I thought it was really funny when they arrived at the school and they described it as a prison for children.
Aye, which is not. It's a place of education, of learning.
Yes.
And some people might think it's a prison. It really isn't. I mean, of course, we anticipated the scissors return. Do you know what I mean? It is obviously not weren't surprised by that. But what did you like? What did you make of? I mean, would you in that position? Would you have thought that the witches have gone? I mean, if you look at the actual skull through the chimney, you seen is it purple smoke, whatever it was, like that wasn't disappearing anytime soon. So I don't know.
It might just be hope rather than expectation, sort of thing. Plus, witch burnings is a well-known way to get rid of a witch. So
I wouldn't know that, mate.
Well. No, the witch burnings of the Salem witch trials and all that kind of stuff.
It's just a bunch of hocus pocus to me, mate. All that stuff.
That's the name of the movie.
You say the thing. Okay, so they obviously didn't win. The kids didn't win at that point in time. But they went back to the house anyway, feet up and all the rest of it. And that was that. But the witches came back. They discovered the modern world, which I find the scene quite funny and comical, actually. So they go in, they kind of go to one house as a party type setting, and they've got Satan who answers the door, and they think it's the real Satan. They walk into the house, and it's like you've got the kind of misinterpretation of kind of the torture devices and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean?
Was this not a lot earlier in the film? No?
No, I don't think so. I think it was after they escaped the school. I've written it down as that. Is
it not when they went trick or treating, or not when they went trick or treating, but when they were walking about when the trick or treating was happening, and they saw him at the door?
I think it was after. Maybe I could be wrong, mate. I could have written this down. I don't know.
I could just as easily be wrong. So anyway,
I might be wrong, mate. It's maybe the first time, right? I do make mistakes. But anyway, regardless of that, it's quite kind of funny. It can emphasise the fact that they're out of time in place of their actual, where they're from. Things have moved on. In particular, I like the bit where Sarah says it, that that Satan's married to Medusa because she has snakes in her.
That's funny. Yeah,
that's good.
There's another bit in that scene where going back to the kind of physical comedy. Who's the sister? Is it Mary? She's like trying to pause her with the remote.
Aye,
the wife.
That's right. She did as well.
That bit was good.
No, that's a good scene. A wee bit of kind of comedy there to kind of throw into the kind of what kind of horror serious nature of what was happening. So they were kind of thrown into that aspect of the world. what else? What scene? I'm going to give it to you now, mate. What kind of scene thereafter did you think was memorable and was good?
I mentioned it earlier about the kind of jump scare. Jump scares are obviously a mixed bag. They're either underwhelming or they really get you. See the bit where Sarah's hiding in the wee sister's bed?
Aye.
That got me, I must admit. So that was actually a good wee bit of horror in there.
Could be. Yeah, it didn't get me. I'm not easily jump scareable, but you can see things coming.
No judging.
Whatever. Sorry?
No judging.
Right, okay. Well, the cussing then, because what did you think of the Sarah song? Because she had a little kind of "Come Little Children," didn't she? That's also another kind of iconic scene. Or kind of quite chilling, I thought.
Remind me.
Does she not? She casts a spell to lure the children, so she sings a
Yeah.
the cottage.
I can't remember the specific film because I rewatched it again this morning, but I didn't get to watch the last half hour, so that bit is not as sharp in my mind as the preceding bit. But it is quite kind of creepy when you see all the kind of children like just kind of walking in a trance-like state towards the house at the end of the film.
Yeah.
Oh, there was a scene I just remembered I really liked was when Thackeray the cat is talking to Max, and he's basically talking about how you won't really appreciate your wee sister until she's not there, and he's obviously talking about his own experience. And I thought that was quite a nice scene because like throughout the kind of first half of the film, he's quite he kind of like shrugs her off quite a lot. And he's not that appreciative of her, but I reckon like in the aftermath of this film, they would be really close. And having I've got a big sister, not a wee sister, but we bickered a lot as kids, but as adults, we're really close. So I thought that was quite a nice wee scene.
No, you're right, mate. Because it's another theme, kind of bring people together type of thing. Do you know what I mean? Like, I mean, my brother and I fought each other. We did, like I said before, I think we would wrestle each other. We would like in proper fights and all the rest of it. Do you know what I mean? It didn't help matters that we shared the room at the time and, growing up and stuff. I think things like that do bring you closer together. Do you know what I mean? Thomas and I talk every day. And sometimes we'll play, very rarely we'll play the PlayStation online together and things like that. Do you know what I mean? The FIFA and all that. I mean, I think you do appreciate. I mean, you look back in things like that and you go, you know what, I was a bit of an arsehole when. Do you know what I mean? And I probably was to him. Likewise with him and me as well. I mean, he could be vicious and stuff like that, and probably get away with a lot of things because he was younger than me, and my mum would treat him like the golden child and things. But I maybe regret a few things I maybe said to him or maybe I done to him, but now kind of brought closer together. Do you know what I mean?
To me, this is the biggest film. Like my favorite way, despite the bit of films I've not seen, watching movies and TV shows is one of my favorite ways to spend free time because it can be an individual thing or it can be a communal thing when you're watching it with somebody. But I also think movies and unsuspecting movies like this has quite a lot of themes actually when you wouldn't think about it on the surface. We went quite deep about Toy Story as well, and I think the fact that films like a slapstick Halloween film can make you reflect on your own life and relationships is what makes movies and TV what they are.
Well, that's it. People have got different interpretations of how scenes play out, and do you know what I mean? We do have different ways of thinking. What I think might not be necessarily what you think about something. Do you know what I mean? But then you go, "Oh, right, that's true." Actually, you said things in the past where I thought, "Well, I never thought about that," and then that kind of drives a conversation.
Yeah, it does show that no matter how simplistic this film seems on the surface, there is still quite a lot to break down.
Aye. Now I know you don't remember much of the Sarah song, but see, like for me, Sarah, right? I've said before, she's probably the funniest character in it. I quite enjoy her character. But I think out of three of them, she's maybe not the smartest, right there. Which obviously brings a lot of humour to that. She's maybe is somewhat more innocent than the rest of them.
Mhm.
I think with her singing this song, probably kind of luring those kids to the cottage. Brought its kind of more chilling aspect of it, because maybe you don't expect it from her. It's more kind of a Winnie type of thing, but she done it anyway. So I was quite haunting that, because you maybe not expect it from her in particular. You can see Sarah right in the middle of our heats.
I just remembered another scene. It was funny when they obviously go into their cupboard, and their broomsticks obviously haven't been touched in a while because they're all kind of cobwebs and whatnot. But then there's only 2 brooms. But then she picks up the the vacuum cleaner essentially, and she's like raiding that.
Aye, that's it as well. I didn't know until I had read this, because I've not seen it either, by the way. This The Wizard of Oz.
Mm-hmm. You've not seen The Wizard of Oz?
No, that's quite enough, not, mate. It used to be on like on Channel 4 loads of times on a Sunday.
You've never seen the movie The Wizard of Oz?
No, like from start to finish.
We need to review that one day.
Yeah, or maybe I've came into my living room on a Sunday afternoon and it's been on. I mean, I know the characters are in it. I've seen, like, there's the Tin Man and all that sort of thing, but I've never seen it from start to finish. Like, I've maybe just start here, I've seen here or there, but I understand the principle of the film, like the synopsis and all that, but I just never watched it. So there's a few references to that in the film as well. So, like, the things that they say and things, but again, I would give it a disservice because I've never seen the film, but I just thought I would say that. What else? So kind of the ending. I know that we kind of spoke about the enchantment to the children, and so eventually they capture Danny, which is kind of a mirror reflection of kind of what happened at the start of the film. With Emily, it's Danny now it's captured, but Max is the one who is in Thackeray's position. Max essentially sacrifices himself, which leads to the confrontation at the sunrise. So he sacrifices himself. He drinks the potion, so the witches can target him. So again, kind of like we were saying, his character arc, he's went from the skeptical, person, bystander, call it what you will, to the selfless hero.
He certainly has a great arc throughout the film.
All right. So you do enjoy his art then? Do you think it was? It was obviously it was kind of telegraphing, let's be honest. But I think it was.
I think when you've watched enough films, you know that if somebody's grumpy and reluctant at the start, they won't be like that by the end. But it just depends how they do it. And I think he does learn lessons from Thackeray about his relationship with his sibling, and just through actual experiencing the witches, he starts to realise that there was kind of substance to this after all.
Aye.
There's also the scene where they're trying to. I thought it was quite a good scene when they were trying to talk to the policeman, and he's just got like the kind of poker face throughout it all, and then at the end he's talking to his girlfriend and he's like, they thought I was a real cop.
Aye. But we see the police badge as well. Did you notice it?
No,
police badge had Salem Police Department on it, and it had in the middle of it had a picture of a witch in a broom.
Right, I did see the Salem label, but I didn't see.
So the kind of with Max sacrificed himself. We were tying into that before. Like, the theme of that is kind of courage and family loyalty that he probably didn't have before. Well, obviously he did love his sister and things. Obviously, it does come naturally, but maybe from his point of view, she was maybe of a nuisance. She was like in the way, and then he couldn't really be bothered with it. But obviously, as the film progressed, he was in danger to the extent where he would sacrifice himself to save his sister. Do you think that was just do you think it was quite suspenseful? Easy for me to say.
Yeah, because obviously at the start of the film, the wee girl died, and then the brother was turned into a cat. So anything really could have happened to the characters from this at the end. Do you know what I mean? So it could easily have had a sad ending.
Yeah. So sun rises, and then the sisters disintegrate. Well, turn to stone first, don't they? Then they disintegrate, which
I think
means
the
that.
fact there's a sequel kind of ruins the ending of this a wee bit.
Say it again, sorry.
I think the fact there is a sequel, it kind of ruins the
Aye.
ending to this one a wee bit, like in a
But
sense.
aye, but obviously knowing that now, do you know what I mean, at the time, it's like
Yeah,
if it's like any TV show, do you know what I mean, it comes back for
to get
a season, like after so many years, do you know what I mean? Take Dexter, for example, do you know what I mean? I don't want to tell you what happened at the end of that, but you thought it was finished, and then something happens, do you know what I mean? And then it comes back.
to get my Star Wars reference, and it's a bit like when Palpatine dies at the end of Return of the Jedi. Spoilers. Then obviously they bring him back for Rise of Skywalker. Spoilers. Stuff like that. Yeah.
Aye, very much so, mate.
I did like the ending scene where like Thackeray stops being the cat, and his kind of ghost comes back, and how his ghost is quite comforting towards the younger sister, and he's saying like he'll always be there to like support her, and then he gets to go off, and his wee sister's like, "Oh, what took you so long?" sort of thing, and then they go off kind of together. So it's quite a nice wee ending there.
Yeah, because before that, Danny was like, "Oh, we've got a new cat and all the rest of it." It was like, he's going to be with me for years and years, my children's years and years. So elaborate the fact that he's immortal.
Yeah.
But if he's gone, Binks transforms back into human, and then it's quite a nice moment where they're reunited with his sister, like Emily and Thackeray. So that's quite heartfelt, I thought.
Billy gets to go back to sleep.
Yeah,
I like the way that played the moment, because obviously we mentioned there's scenes that maybe aren't as kid friendly, but this one's more like, instead of saying he's going back in his grave, they're like, "Oh, he's just going back to sleep," and he just jumps back in like he's going for a nap.
Yeah, that's it, mate. I think in some aspect they have to be tactful with this age. You know what I mean? Because obviously, like, as a kids film at the end of the day, do you know what I mean? Well, not a kids film, but a family film. We'll call it that. I don't think it's a kids film as such, but you can watch it with your family. Do you know what I mean? It's one for that. So with Binks Spirit Free, we've got the Max and Danny and what's her name, Alison, celebrate a victory. What's happened to Jay and Einstein, mate? What's happened to them?
The witches, I can't remember how they got them in the first place, but the witches like locked them in cages, and then Max gets his revenge, and he manages to steal the shoes back off him, and he repeat. It's tubular? What was it? What was the line he used when he takes the shoes back? It was something that I said earlier in the film. Was like is it not tubular, but it's like,
I mean,
there's a line.
I'll find it.
What is it? It says tubular. Yeah, tubular. That's what it was.
Tubular. I don't remember that bit.
No, because he says that the first scene they meet when he's showing him his shoes, and I don't know what it actually means, but he says it's tubular, and then when Max takes the shoes back off the end, Max says it to him.
Right. So okay.
Yeah.
So
you don't really know what happens. It's kind of left open ended. They're kind of in the cages.
Yeah.
As the film.
Drink the fitting end then for them. Drink they deserve that.
Yeah, Billy should always face the consequences of their actions.
Indeed they do. I think you should get ice shaved into the back of your head, mate. Can't you say that?
I've probably not seen it on the back of my head.
Right, that's us, mate. Covered that. So what's left now? Unless you want to kind of want to give your favourite lines or anything like that to the film.
There's a few. There was a bit where they saw it was kind of like black ice, and they thought it was like a I can't remember specifically what they said, but they said it's like they were like scared to stand on like they thought it was like a black pond or something like that. Do you remember that bit?
That's right. It was it's like solid ground or something. I can't remember exactly what they said, but they were like.
I think a lot of it was the physical humor. There was a bit of the remote control. There was the bit with the. It's just a lot of the. I haven't like retained a lot of them in my long-term memory because I've not seen it enough time. But when I was watching it, there was quite a few moments where I smiled and laughed at some of the things the witches were saying. Obviously, the line about the glorious morning is quite good, and the line about the school being the prison is quite good. So those are some of the kind of standouts.
Yeah, I mean, I mentioned Sarah before and her funny line, so it'd be wrong of me not to say, but there's a scene at the start of the film where obviously they've got Emily, and she like somebody says "dead man's leg," and Sarah just repeats "dead man's leg, dead man's leg, dead man's leg." So that's quite funny. She does the same as well later on when he says "amok," you're going to run amok, and then she just repeats "amok, amok, amok" in a kind of singing kind of in a way. So. And just I like what she says, like I think Winifred says something like, you know what the plan is, and Sarah goes, "What plan?" As if she'd hadn't been listening. So just wee things like that. It just make me go, oh, it's just she's just kind of dote it and whatever. Do you know what I mean? So it's quite funny.
I like the line when she gets off the bus and she's like, "Bye, mortal bus driver."
That
was quite good.
The bus driver was from New York, I think, wasn't he? The way he spoke.
Yeah, he was another one in terms of the undertones, like just the way he was. They were obviously enjoying it in the moment, but the way he was speaking to them as they got on the bus was kind of a bit out there.
Aye. Obviously Winifred, who has the lines as well of book, but sings it book like that. And
I find her really funny. Just her mannerisms and just the way she delivers her lines.
She also says sisters, doesn't she, like that as well? So it's quite funny. She doesn't always I think Winifred, loves her sisters obviously, but at the same time knows that they're beneath her. In terms of intelligence and all the rest of it, do you know what I mean? Like maybe kind of mimicking the whole kind of the maybe who's name, Max and Danny, like not appreciating them as much as she probably should. Do you know what I mean? For what they are.
She's definitely the leader of the group.
Oh no, 100%. But I'm just saying she appreciates them as much as maybe she probably should.
What's interesting though is because obviously, remember Billy got like the spell on him and stuff because he'd kissed Sarah or whatever. It's interesting that she still is friendly with Sarah. You'd think maybe she would hold a bit of a grudge there.
I don't know. I didn't really kind of elaborate on that side yet, didn't it? So we don't really know because whatever conversation happened. But we only told that through who did it tell us again? Okay, how did we find out about that? About what Billy had done?
I can't remember.
No,
he doesn't. He can't speak, so it's not him. It's someone else. It's either one of the sisters, or maybe they read it off the tombstone or something. I'm not sure.
I had to write this down. So the other quote for Billy, the zombie, he says, "Wench, trollop, you buck-toothed mop riding firefly from hell." Because obviously he can't speak. Well, because he's all stitched up, but he's obviously he's obviously kin at this point. So he's obviously used now well satisfied that he's managed to get his insults across. Aye. Is there anything else, mate, before I give you your seismic stars?
No. No, I think that's fine.
Right.
Actually, there's one more spell we didn't talk about. in the book, and actually, no, I think this was what the wording was. I think one of the spells was something like, if you do one thing today, then you need to make sure that you go and listen to what's the script. Or this is verbatim what it said in the film. It said, if you don't do that, then you're going to get turned into a cat for all eternity. I think that was what it said.
I'm going to go back and pause that then so I can make sure I can see it.
That was exactly what it said.
Right, okay. So you better do that, folks, because you don't want that turned into a cat for all eternity. So get your asses to what's the script on Twitter and Spotify and YouTube. They have just released a new podcast episode, which the name escapes me now. What was it, Colin? Logan. Logan. Aye. It was a great film, by the way. I've not seen it for ages, though, so I'm going to watch it first.
I think I've only seen it when I saw it at the cinema. I don't think I've seen it since.
Aye, it's a little different than to the other X-Men films, man. But I'm going to go and watch the film first, then listen to the podcast. That's what I'll do. Anyway, before you give your seismic stars, mate, one thing I didn't do was give the IMDb rating of the film at the start of the pod. So it got a 6.9 out of 10. So don't let that influence you, mate, in terms of what you're going to give it. Colin, what is your seismic stars for this film?
The first time I watched this, I really didn't enjoy it. I think Alien had been building it up so much that, and I don't think I really knew what the kind of tone of the film really was. And when I was watching it last night, at the start of the film, see when they're going on about the dead man's toes, I was like, this is rubbish.
Dead man's toe.
I was like, this is rubbish. But as the film went on, I started to get into like the Halloween kind of vibe that it was portraying. I started to laugh at quite a lot of the jokes, and when I kind of changed my perception about what I maybe thought the film was going to be, I've actually started to quite enjoy it. And when I watched the majority of it again this morning, I've actually think that this is one that will become a regular rewatch, particularly around the kind of Halloween season. So usually I'm not like that. Usually I like it, I don't like it. But having watched this again and then watching it again, I feel like I have actually started to like it more each time I watched it, and I can see why. I can see why some people kind of really kind of swear by it. It's maybe not like my obvious choice of film, but I have kind of came around on it. In terms of a score, if you'd asked me when I first watched it, I'd have probably went like 4 or 5, like quite low. And just before I obviously we always rate films just on their own individual merits, not comparing like this to Titanic or to American Psycho, both films we've reviewed. I'd probably give it, I think a 7 is quite solid for it. I think it has its issues when you're watching it in 2024 in terms of some of the tones. I think it's like obviously the way the cat was portrayed is a total kind of 90s trope with the talking cat. And I think I can't discount how I felt when I kind of first watched it the first few times, but I feel like it is on the up and up. But I think a 7 would be a kind of fair representation of where I'm at.
Yeah, mate. I mean, it's obviously not my type of film at all. Do you know what I mean? I think it's well outside my comfort zone. It's not my typical Halloween film that I would watch. I've got to agree with you, mate. I think the first time I watched it, it was just watching it. But I think it takes more than one watch to actually appreciate it. That way where I think the first time I watched it, I probably lost focus a wee bit. And then
you lost Hocus Pocus.
I lost Hocus Pocus a wee bit, and probably from it takes you when you lose focus on something, on a film or a TV show, it probably takes a wee bit to get you back. And I think some of the jokes and the comedy and that did that for me. Second time watching it, I think, obviously I watched it for the pod. I was like, well, you know what, I'm going to actually pay attention to it more and try and appreciate it. And I did. And I actually did enjoy it. Do you know what I mean? I thought, no, I'm not going to go into you were talking about the tones of the film and all that. I'm not going to go into that detail, but I think I'm going to give it 7 as well. I was going to give it 6.5, but I'm going to give it 7 because I think, like you, I think I have to watch this every year at this time, Halloween, then I would appreciate it more. You know,
It's nice for a wee change from like a kind of like dark film or a really kind of grisly
well,
kind of
that's
film.
because I like watch films like, you know, I've just watched by the way, I've got to say to you, I watched a film called 1408 as well, which is a Stephen King short story. It's got John Cusack in it, and what's his name? Samuel Jackson.
I might like that then. What was it
It's
on?
It's on Prime. It's on Prime. I've seen it, but I've only seen it once before, and I watched it again the other night. It was I fell asleep during it actually, but because I was tired. But I watched it again and again. It's good. It's really good. So I meant to say that in the first segment. I don't know where I was at now. I just went on my tangent. But
Halloween films.
Halloween films. So I will watch that again next year because it's like it is different for the Halloween films I've watched generally. I mean, I'd like watch like films like Halloween, obviously, House of 1,000 Corpses, and all things like that. So it's a different type of Halloween film, which is again good to see.
Yeah. Cool.
So I'll give it a 7. I know but I was going to get 6.5 and get 7. So yeah, that's 2 7s, mate.
Matchy.
Okay. So I am going to wrap up there. So if you've been watching this, you've been listening to this, but you can also follow us on Twitter, Instagram, Threads, TikTok, and Facebook. If you could tell people about us, share us on those platforms. So we want to try and get as many people as possible to grow the channel. Also, again, watch and listen to us on YouTube and Spotify. You can check back previous episodes that we've done, which was American Psycho. Before that, we done Toy Story, and then before that we done.
Well, actually, the Matrix will be out when people are watching this. So
yeah, the Matrix and Harry Potter, and that is all. Okay. So do check us out, guys. Honestly, we appreciate everything we say. So any comments, any likes that you do, we do appreciate it. So if you keep on sharing and subscribing, guys, it is magic. It does help us, and we do appreciate it. So keep on doing it. So the only thing we've got left to say is, Colin, do you have a pick for next week? What is your Halloween pick?
Right. Can I give you a couple of honourable mentions before I reveal what we're doing? So
okay,
I wanted to stick to the Halloween theme. I know Halloween is really just a day, but I think we could stretch it to November for kind of horror films. If you're up for it.
Okay.
And then,
we'll
then December we could do our festive films.
Okay.
So I wanted to keep in the kind of horror vibe. So a few suggestions. One, I just went through the different streaming services. One of the suggestions was not one that I don't think I picked, is the first Purge movie was one that I thought about. It's one I quite enjoy watching Halloween. I know Paul's a fan as well. Another one that came up. What's that?
Maybe Paul come on for the Purge.
I'm not picking that. I'm just saying that was a thought.
Honourable Messi on it. Okay,
right. Another thought was because it was on Netflix and it scared the bejeebus out of me. Was a Smile.
Right.
And another couple, maybe the more recent It movie. So these are ones we can maybe come back to. And there was one other one which I thought of, which just escaped me. But the one I'm going to go for is one I've not actually seen, but I've always heard of. And it's a totally different vibe to what we've done today. And it's on Now TV, so I've got a nice access to it. What I've decided we're going to review next week is The Ring.
Ah, good film, man. Did you see you hadn't seen it? Did you see you hadn't seen it?
I've not seen it now. So it's sticking with the theme of I haven't seen it. So I've decided that's what we're going to do next week.
That's a good film, man. I haven't seen it for a long time. Long time. But it's a good film, man.
So you go.
Oh, I don't have Now TV calling me. Pick another one.
We'll get it sorted.
I'll get it. I've got it somewhere. I'll get it.
We'll get it sorted.
Okay, so The Ring next week. Oh, happy days. Right, okay. So we'll look forward to that. So we'll wrap up there. So thank you, Colin, again, for helping me with this. So I am James. I've probably written an essay on it. Paul has probably watched Hocus Pocus 2 and Hocus Pocus 1. And Colin
probably hasn't seen it.
Thank you guys for watching and listening. Cheers.